Have you ever been jolted awake by a work alert in the middle of the night, only to find out it wasn't an emergency at all? Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you have absolutely experienced the pain of bad logging. Today, we're going to explain why that happens and, more importantly, how to fix it for good.
So picture this. It's 2:13 a.m. Your phone goes absolutely nuts on the nightstand. You scramble to read the alert, your heart is pounding, and it says, High Priority Alert, deprecated API in use. But then the adrenaline wears off and you remember, wait a minute, that API has been deprecated for months. The service is running perfectly fine.
So what just happened? Why did a routine, totally non-critical event trigger an emergency page in the middle of the night? Well, this isn't just a simple mistake. It's a symptom of a much deeper problem, a total misunderstanding of what log levels are actually for. This right here is the textbook definition of alert fatigue, and it's how you burn out really good engineers.
All right, to solve this mess, we have to get back to the fundamentals. See, log levels aren't just random labels. They are a standardized system of severity. Think of them as a contract, a promise between your application and the poor souls who have to support it, defining what's just noise and what's a real five-alarm fire.
Now, if you look at this table, what's so great is how clear the intention is for each level. Right up top, you have fatal or critical. That's your Houston, we have a problem, the ship is breaking apart level. Then you've got error, which means a specific function failed, but the app might still be chugging along. Warning is for, potential future issues. Info is just your routine, hey, things are working message. And then debug and trace, those are for deep diagnostics, and really you should only see those in a development environment.
So let's zoom in on the most crucial distinction, right here, the difference between a warning and an error. Honestly, this is where most teams get it completely wrong. A warning means something unexpected happened, but, and this is the most important part, the software is still working just fine. That deprecated API call, that is a classic warn. An error, on the other hand, means something is actively broken. A whole operation has failed. If it's a warn, you can deal with it in the morning. If it's an error, someone needs to get on it now.
Okay, so we've got warn versus error sorted out, but there's another sneaky danger hiding in your logs, especially when you do something really tempting, which is leaving your debug level on in production.
Look, enabling debug in a live environment is basically playing with fire. And here's why. First, your performance is going to tank. The sheer amount of data debug logs generate creates so much I/O overhead it can slow your whole app to a crawl or even crash it. And second, something even scarier, security. Debug logs are designed to be super verbose, which means they often capture everything. We're talking user session tokens, personal info, even passwords.
And hey, don't think for a second this is just some theoretical risk. This is a real-world example, and the stakes are absolutely enormous. Back in 2018, Twitter had to come out and announce that they had accidentally logged 330 million, that's not a typo, 330 million user passwords totally unmasked to an internal debug log. Now, they caught it before a breach happened, but wow, it's a terrifying reminder of how a simple logging mistake can create a gigantic security nightmare.
So, once we get our log levels right, how do we turn that into an on-call experience that doesn't make people want to quit? Well, the key is to build a smart, effective alerting strategy right on top of that solid foundation.
And the rule here is incredibly simple, but it is so powerful. The log level that your application spits out should directly, one-to-one, determine the action your monitoring system takes. This isn't just a best practice, it's the core of a reliable and low-stress way to handle incidents.
So here's the playbook. It's super straightforward. A fatal or an error log, that should trigger an immediate page to your on-call engineer. No questions asked. Something is broken and it needs a human. A warn log, that should never ever page someone at 2 a.m. Instead, it can automatically create a ticket in Jira, or maybe send a notification to a team's Slack channel. It's for investigation during business hours. And info or debug logs, absolutely no alerts. You just store them for later, in case you need to troubleshoot something.
This all sounds great in theory, right? But let's make it real. Let's walk through an actual scenario to see how you can put this into practice and just silence the noise. So imagine you're an IT support engineer. You come into work, grab your coffee, and you see that a single payment service is flooding your logging system, in this case Grafana Loki, with 50,000 warn entries per hour. The on-call channel is a complete disaster, and nobody can tell if there's a real fire in all that smoke.
So what do? You don't panic. You follow a simple, methodical process. First, you investigate. Use a Grafana dashboard to confirm, yep, there's a huge spike. Second, you filter. You dive into Grafana Loki and isolate just the noisy logs. Third, you identify the exact log line that's causing this flood. Fourth, you escalate it to the dev team with all the context. And finally, the dev team makes a simple one-line code change to reclassify that log from a warn down to the correct level info.
And the best part? The investigation itself is ridiculously easy. This is the exact LogQO query the engineer used. That's all it takes to filter through potentially millions of log lines and find just the warnings from that specific service. By the way, if you want to play around with queries like this yourself, you can just head over to Grafana Play. It's a free, interactive demo environment. It's pretty cool.
And the result of that one little change? Well, this chart says it all. A tiny, targeted fix leads to a massive 80% drop in alert noise. Boom. Sanity is restored to the on-call rotation, and now the team can focus on alerts that actually matter. This isn't magic. It's just disciplined logging.
So, now it's your turn.
I'm going to leave you with this question. Take a hard look at your own logs. Are they a reliable safety net that catches real problems, or have they just become a source of noise and burnout? I challenge you to find one misclassified log, just one, that you can go and fix tomorrow. It's a really small step, but it can make a huge difference.